I refuse to tell their line. So there are a few like that.
Was it before this time or?
Before the current Abubakar. I don't know Abubakar personally. I'm sorry, he was in Lagos at the time. But we never had cause to interact. So far, we've had only good reports about him. But that is the IG. What about the DIGs, AIGs, commissioners?
And even the DPOs, which the other Nigerians
down after the commissioners before you get to DPOs. Some of them actually rose through the ranks. Some were DPOs. I asked a simple question here. Your take home is 300,000 naira a month. You have 3 children, or 400,000. In fact, make 500,000. And you have 3 children with your wife and all that. You're maintaining some other relatives you're helping to take care of. And you have your children in the United Kingdom. I pay 10 million naira a year for them, for each. How are you making that money? And you're talking about one man you caught asking for 25,000 naira.
Is this a mixed feeling or mixed response? Because on the one hand, you say you have incorruptible people who were forced out of the force. At the same time, I mean, the IG, who some have said, look, well, yes, it's above board. And then he's able to rise to that level. So it means there's still hope if people like him can rise to that level.
Well, you see, there is always hope. There's a saying that once there's life, there is hope. But you ask the person, how do we do this? Another way of doing it is, if he is serious about getting to the bottom of this, who is that man bearing, first of all, bearing the real name? That's number one. Come and tell me, how can you tell me you don't know about this? Secondly, who recruited this man? Who had been pretending him? Who are the officers he had served under? Who was he serving under before it's caught on tape, taking this, demanding this 25,000 naira? The man was not talking like somebody who was doing it for the first time.
So this, you're not satisfied, obviously, with the way the investigation was carried out?
As far as I'm concerned, there was no investigation.
Really?
As far as I'm concerned, there was none. If there was, we'll see the result. It's not just, you see, what they've done is, look, let us remove this man before he implicates more people. So carry him, go and do their orderly room trial, which is allowed by their law, and then get him out of this place.
So what would you have loved to see?
Thorough investigation. Like I said, it means this man, this is the police we're talking about. The people that will go and report a crime for them to investigate, somebody have been inside them, one of them, bearing a false name, false documentation. So if you now have somebody give you false documentation, who will you go to? If the police force can't even find out from their own that this man who is carrying a gun is not who he claims to be. For 21 years.
I think it was in a traffic division.
Whatever division is a policeman.
I mean, respect
he was a policeman. They said they dismissed him.
With respect to bearing arms, so
I'm
not sure he was bearing arms.
NSC bear arms.
Some of them.
So it's a police, and once you have one stripe, you can bear arms. You see, if you don't have any arms, then they won't give you arms.
But these reforms in the police, I know, so many reports, so many committees have been set up. There was a recent one submitted to the president. It means that some suggest also there's little the IG can do. Number one, he doesn't appoint himself. The process through which the IGs are appointed also, they say, needs to be looked into because there's a limit to which you can be independent. So if you decide to carry out some reforms, somebody somewhere may not like what you're doing, and it may be history.
Everybody is appointed or elected.
But in different ways.
Everybody's appointed. The president appoints you, you want to do your work, you do your work.
Really?
And the very worst, he sacks you. You see, the problem here is that we are so stuck on labels, we're so stuck on titles, we're so stuck. If, for instance, the current IG Abubakar decides to do his work without caring whose ox is God, the worst that people can do is to sack him. You find the reason and sack him, and so what? He will hold his head high. And I can assure you that he wouldn't even be lacking in funds thereafter. But those who have been, some of his predecessors, who have been convicted by courts of law in Nigeria as corrupt, can't come out. If you're having a town hall meeting, they won't even come out there. But if you do your work, they sack you because you're doing your work, Nigerians will know.
But again, if you look at this, how can Nigerians help? Because this is just one-off situation we've seen. Bring in someone right before the nation to say this is what he's been asked to give. But for some, they say well, it's a give and take issue. Sometimes if that man had gotten to the police station, because now we don't even know how it ended, that's all we knew. If truly he was booked, if that vehicle was taken to the police station, if he finally paid the sum of 25,000 or even 5 or 10 naira to get his vehicle out, that is why I think you have a point when you talked about investigation. How did it all end is what we should also be asking the police.
Well, as you said, I don't know how it ended. But in any case, some people were saying, oh, he should have gone to the police station. He would have seen superior officers who would have been more reasonable. If that man, once you get to the police station, the first thing they do is deflate your 4 tires. That's the first thing they do. I'm speaking from experience, both personal and friends. The first thing they do is, and the vulcanizers they have around there have a deal with them. For them to pump your tires, they'll be charging like 3,000-4,000 per tire. So that's another means of a source of income for them. Now, the people you think will be reasonable because of their position, superior rank, will be worse than the man who caught you on the road.
But you're a lawyer. Why do they do that? Because even some other agencies like Lagos traffic officers, they also do the same thing. What law? I don't know how they operate. Why must you deflate the tires, knowing full well that if the man pays the ransom, he can easily drive his car, but you make him incur more money or more debt if he can't afford to pay the vulcanizer, which truly they're always situated in places like that.
When the head is rotten,
would you like to also see that as corruption?
It is corruption. When the head of fish is rotten, what happens to the rest of the body? You see, there is a culture of impunity in Nigeria. It has permeated all levels. So, the man the last map person you're talking about, don't you see that usually you see the last map person, what do you call them, the yellow fever guys, and then the regular police people. They're all together in that little thing they stay there. They work hand in hand. It is the same thing, whether it's Lagos State or federal. They all work together. So, they are more interested in what they can extract from you than in even controlling traffic or making sure you don't even commit the offense. They encourage you to commit the offense. They find a way to even help you commit the offense if there's an offense to be committed, so as to extract money from you. So, and people are, it's either they don't know their rights or they're incapable, for certain reasons, of trying to get to protect their rights. It's expensive to consult a lawyer. Even the lawyers themselves are sometimes saying, hurry, look, let me just give this man this money and go where I'm going to. If you want to pursue your rights in Nigeria, you just see people telling, look, man, they will kill you. Why are you bothering yourself? Just let this go. Even as a lawyer, I'm telling you what has happened to me and to some other friends. Your client is being messed up by a security agency that's been compromised, and you're getting threats. The next thing your friends are telling you, look, this is Nigeria. Let it go. What is it?
But that word, sorry, Mark, because that word, this is Nigeria, we always say it. We don't say it in a good light. This is Nigeria is always in a bad light, like you've just resigned to fate. Is it a helpless situation we are in?
Currently, yes. Helpless, because we're not doing anything about it. You see, when Nigerians want to do something about it, I've been saying this over and over again, they will do something about it. They don't want to do it. They're enjoying it.
Nigerians or?
Nigerians. Because, you see, the people who are there enjoying these things, the people who are ripping you off, who are enjoying your patrimony alone, exclusively, are not the people that will cause the change. Because they're enjoying, they're on the gravy train. So why should they derail it? So it is those other people, the other 95%, that will rise up. Now, because they know the other 5% know what is going on, what they do is the next thing, they touch them up and they tell you, look at it, my sister. Don't you know I'm from Ogun State, or well, at least I'm Yoruba. You touch or they can say, because it's an Igbo man, that's why you're doing that. And so on and so forth. Or the next thing you're hearing Islam, you're hearing Christianity. Meanwhile, the corruption I'm talking about, I don't know about Islam, I don't go to mosques, I don't know what I'm doing there. But the corruption I'm talking about is resident in the churches. The same people who are shouting about Christianity. I don't know whether it's the same but at least from what we see from Muslims, outside the mosque, there definitely has to be corruption in that place too. So the 5% know what to do to keep you where you are. And as intelligent as some people in the 95% ought to be, they are not taking the steps that need to be taken to change the status quo.
But the law plays a very important role in all of this. And then some will tell you, it looks as though there's one law for the rich and another for the poor. But same law, in fact, the Constitution, which is what the National Assembly are amending now. You think all of these amendments will, to some extent, correct these anomalies? I say why?
Some of the amendments are so myopic. So generally, what these people do are very selfish. The things they do are selfish. They're not thinking of the future, really. They think, look, I'm here. They assume they're going to be there forever. For instance, right now, can you say that they have recommended for autonomy for the local governments? Can you say that? The Senate is saying one thing, House is saying another thing. So what are you amending? Which one? What is the amendment there now? When we know that governors have continued pilfering.
Yeah, but isn't that the democratic process playing itself out? Because people have to voice their opinion.
Are you even allowed to voice the opinion? They say they're having a public hearing. How many of those public hearings have you televised? How many of those reports, because there is a report after that, have you access to be sure that what you observed is what is in that report? Before they do the charade they do on in the greenhouse or red house. Or green chamber or red chamber.
Let's quickly take a look at, the force again. A host of people say it's what you put in that you get. And that we haven't treated our police force as if they deserve more. I mean, we haven't treated it with the respect it deserves in terms of our input into the force. Do you think that also has any link to do with what we just saw on TV?
Do you know the quality of the people that even go into the force in the first place? Ordinarily, it should be the best and brightest that should be in the force. Police, SSS, EFC, your best and brightest ought to be there. But what are the kind of people? What kind of people do you get in the police force, for instance?
Well, should we be saying what kind of people do we get there? Or what kind of people does the police force attract to itself?
Well, you can say attract. You can also say, do you get there? Because people apply. Now, if, and it didn't start today, there was time it was much better when we were being governed by the whites, by Britain. We had a regular police force because it's what they had, they were giving to us. If you, like you said, well, if you make it's not just the pay. I think you showed Ikeja, the police college. I don't see how anybody will come out from there and be normal. That police college that you showed there, even though I understand there were a few things about it. However, there should be a deliberate effort, a conscious effort, maybe like this current IG. You say what? Let me start recruiting the best and the brightest. The best and the brightest still goes to ministry or to this thing, and they are still paid level 8. So why don't you still pay them that? Because that's not what you pay.
The best and brightest go to our ministries. I mean, I know that we've had
I know some.
We've had a couple of guests here who say that our ministries also do not attract the best and the brightest.
You have some in the ministry, you have some in the oil companies, in the banks, and so on and so on, everywhere in the private sector.
We have them more in the private sector. That's where they say they are.
The way it is, the private sector even employs more these days. In my states, they've not been employing, for instance. So, but some of those people who come and have to be absorbed. So the private sector will absorb them. There should be a conscious effort, like I said, maybe by the current IG, to do things to attract, to go out of his way to recruit the best and the brightest, both from secondary schools, in fact, preferably from the universities. Because when you employ a graduate as and train him as a police officer, he's a genuine, well, I'm saying genuine graduates. You know how it is these days. But a graduate, real graduate. Not somebody took his exam for, or whose parents bought his certificate for. And you train him. His outlook, his view about life and what he's supposed to do will definitely be different from that of those of somebody who you picked up from I don't want to derive any from certain places.
All right. Unfortunately, that's why we had to let it go here today. Kenneth Odika, as a legal practitioner, thank you for coming on today.
Thank you very much.
Let's go for the headline news. Well, I to the Balogu standing by with that. Morning, Ayo.